Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tousi TV. We come to you guys with another breaking news, another update about what's going on at GB News with the latest update earlier today when we mentioned that Calvin Robinson and Lawrence Fox have both been officially sacked by GB News. We now have a statement, a video statement from Calvin Robinson, and in this video, which I'm going to show you the whole thing, by the way, it's a few minutes. In this statement, Calvin Robinson attacks GB News' leadership and management, and of course he also talks about how the whole channel was supposed to be pro free speech, but it's not, and he says that there's a civil war going on right now inside GB News. Let's go to Calvin Robinson, then let me know what you think in the comment section.
Hello, my name is the Reverend Calvin Robinson. Until recently, I was a TV presenter and radio presenter on GB News, the so-called home of free speech. No, not that speech. I am an Anglican minister. I'm deacon in charge of Christ Church Harlesden, and I want to share some news with you. I have just been dismissed from my role at GB News following a suspension. Where to begin? I'm sorry, I'm in shock. I do want to share this news with you, but I am absolutely in shock that this has happened. And I think I need to go back to the beginning, which is actually the case of Mark Stein, which is where all of this began. Internally at the company, we were propagandized. We were told this was Mark Stein's fault and that actually he didn't play the game, and that it's okay to say you believe something as long as you get someone else to challenge you. Or you could say, you know, I believe X, Y, and Z, other people believe this. Or in the case of Mark Stein, what they told us is that he presented his opinion as fact without leaving it open to other interpretation. And they told us that he brought it on himself and he brought it on the station, and he refused to cooperate with the station. And that's why they had to get rid of him. That there and then was the line. That was the red flag that we all ignored. I mean, I did speak out publicly as much as I could at the time, but I should have totally stepped forward and put my head above the parapet. I should have said, no, this is wrong. Something's not right here. They tried to shift the blame to Ofcom. I do think Ofcom is a problem. They are a quango of the government at arm's length, and they do interfere over the COVID situation. They changed their rules to journalists must not question or undermine public health bodies. Not just must not undermine public health bodies, but must not question or undermine public health bodies. That, again, was alarm bells, and I have spoken about this on air. So we should have stood up for Mark. All of us should have done, as a community, as a GB News community. Some people did, very few did, but that was the start, because once they got rid of him, they realised they could get rid of any of us. Later, they got rid of a number of presenters, but one in particular, who I really like. I didn't realise why she'd left until this week, and the papers have reported that she was paid out with a handsome 5-figure settlement because she was sexually harassed by a senior member of management. Now, had I known that, I would have left immediately. That's disgusting. First of all, it's disgusting that sexual harassment is happening from management to employees. But secondly, that the board seemed to have signed off on a 5-figure settlement rather than sacking him there and then. But they will sack other people, and we'll get to that. There's a lot going on here in this story of what's happening at GB News. One of the major stakeholders is looking to purchase the Daily Telegraph. Now, when you're looking to purchase a big, reputable newspaper company like that, your reputation is taken into consideration. So there cannot be anything, no question marks next to your name. There cannot be any edgy situations, which is why, one of the reasons why I think people like myself and Lawrence Fox and Dan Wootton have been edged out. But we are not the first, and we will not be the last. In the news recently, and I found out through the papers, I didn't find out through my management or any conversations with anyone, but they were trying to push us out anyway. Me and Neil Fox and a couple of others, they were going to take us off of broadcast, and they were going to paint it as, this is how we're going to enable free speech, because we'll take them off the network and put them online, and then they're free to say what they want, forgetting, first of all, that Ofcom are going to have regulatory powers of the internet too very soon, because the online safety bill passed. But also, this wasn't a win for free speech. This was a way to shut us down and to get rid of the people who are calling themselves freedom fighters and fighting for the truth, and just to become more mainstream and more reasonable and more reputable, so to speak. This has been a pattern. You know, I fought many fights while I've been there, and I've always said this is a platform that I've been gifted to do God's work. It's always been a mission for me. It's never a career objective. It's never been a goal for me to become a TV presenter or anything like that. This has been a platform that I've been gifted to use as best as I could. I haven't always been able to do that. I wanted to get Katie Hopkins on my show months ago. I got it approved by the CEO, and I still wasn't able to do it. I've tried and fought many fights. Most of them I have won. Many I haven't won. I managed to talk about abortion and fight for the sanctity of life. A lot of battles to get those conversations on air. A lot of battles. I talked about marriage and how important marriage is, and how it's between one man and one woman, and sex outside of marriage is fornication. That's sinful. Having that conversation on air should be considered normal. But Christian views, traditional British views, our values are seen as bigoted, and I'm not just talking about people who hate the channel on the hard left. I'm talking about people within the channel. There is a division. There's a civil war going on at GB News. You know, I came off air after discussing marriage to hear people, producers, floor managers, saying you can't say it's sin, it's legal. First of all, showing that they don't understand what sin means, but second of all, showing that they don't believe in free speech. And there were a lot of people there that hate the presenters. And there are two types of presenters at GB News. There are the truth seekers, the freedom fighters, and there are the professional presenters. You know, they're in it for TV because they've been in it for TV for a long time. That's fine. That's, you know, people have different objectives in life. However, the more mainstream ones are accepted, and the freedom fighters are literally hated by a lot of people. And, you know, the Express and a few other papers have printed stories saying that Dan's own team have been against him recently. Came as no surprise to me, because people literally hate what we're trying to do. A lot of people work there because they want to get their foot into the industry, and either they've come from Sky or BBC, or they're going to end up back at Sky and BBC. It's a great shame. I said to the CEO, I said to the management a long time ago that we should be recruiting people that believe in free speech, believe in our shared mission goals, that share our ideology, to put it frankly, and want to come along with us on this journey, want to help us on this journey, not people who are going to battle us and obstruct us all the way. But perhaps that's part of the thing. Perhaps this all along has been some kind of controlled opposition. When we see senior presenters at Conservative Party conference, and we hear that they are being allowed into the Conservative Party finally, and that potentially they could become the next leader of the party. At the same time as we hear senior stakeholders are buying the Daily Telegraph, so they'll own the Telegraph and GB News. They'll pretty much own the centre right, and of course all the dissidents on the right go on GB News because there's nowhere else left to go. So is this a way of controlling the right, controlling the dissidents, and shaping the future of the Conservative Party in order to shape the future of the country? Is there something bigger going on here? That's a question I want to know. But all this comes down to, essentially, Lawrence Fox said something crass on air. I'm a very good friend of Lawrence's. I see him as a brother. I told him straight that, you know, you shouldn't have said that. That's all that should have been. That's all that conversation should have been. Maybe an apology. And he did apologise. But Dan Wootton was the host of the show, and, you know, he was flustered in the moment. Didn't challenge him as heavily as he could have challenged him. So he gets suspended too. They both get suspended. Of course, it's more difficult for them to fire Dan because he's on a long-term contract, which me and Lawrence aren't on because we haven't been on full-time contracts as long as Dan. Anyway, that's beside the point. Dan helped build this station. Literally, you know, blood, sweat and tears. And we've all been around, you know, I was freelance at the beginning, but I've been around since before launch. I've appeared on Dan's show more than anyone else. I think the only other person who's been on more than me is Dawn Neeson, and that's because she hosted. But we've been around and we put in the work to make this station what it is because we believe in it. We believed in it. We believed in what we thought was the mission. Now, I stood up for Dan and Lawrence. I stood up for free speech. I stood up for what I think GB News is supposed to be. I stood up for our viewers, who are the silent majority and who have been ignored by the metropolitan liberal elite of the mainstream media and the establishment and the politicians, and did feel like GB News was a home for them. I don't want them to be politically homeless and media homeless at the same time, but it looks like that's what's happening at the moment, and it's sad. Excuse me, I need to calm down. I try to stand up for what we believe in, for our principles. I try to provide some critical challenge to our leadership, and they saw it as bringing the station into disrepute. I said, well, I think their actions are what are bringing the station into disrepute. Anyway, they've now fired me. I believe the project is doomed, not because they fired me, but because it shows that the direction they're heading is not the direction that me, Lawrence and Dan and a few others thought it was heading in. it seems like they've changed track, or maybe that was the idea all along. Who knows? They've unfollowed me on Twitter straight away and put out a statement before I've even had a chance to speak to my lawyers or anyone or get anything in line. I'm literally jobless. I rent a flat in London that I don't know how I'm going to afford. Like, they've just dumped me, and it's hurtful because we really have, all of us, put a lot into this project because we believed in it. That's all I'm going to say for now. I will definitely have plenty more to say on this, and I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do in the future. I still need to maintain my ministry in Harlesden at Christchurch. Please feel free to come. It's Sundays at 10 a.m. And if you'd like to support me in any way, keep a roof over my head and enable me to continue that ministry while I look at how I'm going to use my platform going forwards for my public ministry, please do drop something into my crowdfund, whether it's cash or a prayer, on givesendgo.com/home of cancel culture. And subscribe to my Substack. Keep an eye on my Twitter. I will update you as and when I possibly can. Thank you so much to all of you for the kind support you've shown and the encouragement. And, you know, it is a stressful situation. I said to my former employers, you know, I've been attacked in the tabloids. Not just me, Dan and Lawrence have too. We've been attacked by high-profile individuals on social media, in the press. It's been non-stop for the last few days. Not one person at the company has reached out to say, are you okay? Where's the care of duty? You know, where's the well-being officer? It's just, you're dumped. That's it. You know, you're no longer part of our narrative. We're done with you. And it's horrible to see it be this corporate. Anyway, I'm going to go. Thank you again. God bless you.
All right, that was Calvin Robinson and his video statement after being sacked by GB News. Let me know what you think of this the statement and everything else, and what you think. Are you still going to be supporting GB News, or are you going to be completely abandoning GB News? Do you think there's a hope for GB News, or do you think it's time for Tousi TV to take over? Let me know what you think. I'm Maya Tousi, and we are the media.